About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery that completely challenged all of my assumptions about how business and communication work. It also profoundly changed my view of even how I live my life. The point is that we make assumptions about the world. We all have ideas about why things fail. When a piece of communication fails, or a company fails, or a product fails, we all have grand ideas as to what happened, and we all seem to know the reasons why things don't go well. But how many of us know how to make things go right? That seems to be more complicated. It wasn't that long ago that people had assumptions as well. Now, the reason I find assumptions so fascinating is because our assumptions govern our behaviors. A few years ago, people thought the world was flat. It was just an assumption. And it changed the behavior of pretty much everybody on the planet. There was very, very little exploration in these days because people were too afraid that if they traveled too far, they'd fall off the end. And so they stayed put. And it wasn't until that one minor little detail, that the world is actually round, did it change the behavior of everyone on the planet. All of a sudden, exploration became robust, and trade routes were established, and the spread of science and mathematics all happened because of one minor little assumption that challenged the truth that of how people perceive the world. We have assumptions in business as well. There's not a single product or service available on the market today that you can't buy from somebody else for about the same price, about the same quality, about the same level of service, about the same features. And if you have a first mover's advantage, that's usually gone in a few months. However, if you ask most companies, why are your customers, what do they usually tell you? Superior service, superior quality, better price, more features, we're first. In other words, most companies have no clue why their customers are their customers. I find this fascinating. Because if you don't know why your customers are your customers, then how do you know what to do or what to say or how to act to attract more of them or to keep the ones loyal that you already have? As it turns out, there's only two ways to influence human behavior. You can either manipulate it or you can inspire it. Examples of manipulation in business are things like dropping your price. If you drop your price low enough, people will do business with you. This is the concept behind a sale. Things are priced to move. Promotions are a manipulation. 2 for 1, free toy inside. And if you're in the business-to-business space, we call it value added. The principle is the same. It's giving things away for free to reduce somebody's risk so that they'll choose you over the competition. Peer pressure is a wonderful manipulator. 4 out of 5. This celebrity says that it's better than the other competition. We've all, I'm sure, sat in our offices and had somebody try to sell us something. And they sat there and said, 70% of your colleagues and your competitors are using our service. Why aren't you? Maybe 70% of my colleagues and competitors are idiots. Or maybe 70% of my colleagues or competitors were offered a price so low they couldn't resist. The point is the peer pressure, the fear that they might know something that we don't works to get us to choose. It's a manipulation. We see manipulations a lot in marketing. Fear is a wonderful manipulator. You can scare people into doing all kinds of things. And even aspirational messages. We're constantly being told that marketing should be aspirational, okay? You can get somebody to join the gym with an aspirational message, but to get them to go 3 days a week, that requires a little bit of inspiration. My favorite manipulation of all is novelty, that companies like to disguise as innovation. But in reality, it's just novelty. In the United States in the 1970s, there were 2 choices of Colgate toothpaste. Do you know how many we have now? Take a guess. 10? 34. There's 34 different choices of Colgate toothpaste. And that's just Colgate, which means their competitors offering about the same quality, about the same features, about the same price. So there's literally hundreds of choices of toothpaste. And I have no data to show that Americans are brushing their teeth now more than they were 30 or 40 years ago. What happened was the increase of competition put a pressure on the metrics in the companies that were doing business. And so they saw whatever their metric was, it doesn't matter, profits, revenue, market share, it doesn't matter, decline. And so they added a new product. And people thought, ooh, shiny. And then the metric declined again. And so they added another one because it worked. And then it declined, they added another one, and another one, and another one. And before you know it, you've got 34 different line extensions. And the funniest thing is, what's their big complaint now? How do we differentiate ourselves? I think that's funny. Real innovation changes the course of industries, if not society. The light bulb, the microwave, the fax machine, iTunes. That's real innovation. Adding a camera to a cell phone is a wonderful feature. It is not an innovation. I cannot dispute that absolutely every single one of these manipulations work. That's why companies use them. However, not a single one breeds loyalty. Over the course of time, they cost more and more money because you keep having to drop your price or have a sale or offer something else or add new products. This costs money. And over the course of time, it increases stress, both for the buyer and for the seller. It is stressful for consumers to make decisions today. Which cell phone should I buy? Which insurance company should I use? This is called stress. There's too much bombardment of messages, and it makes it hard to make decisions. But it's stressful for the sellers as well, because when the consumers are being bombarded with messages from absolutely everybody, from everywhere, everybody offering something for free and something you can get, and he said he knows more than you do. How do we stand out? What are we going to say to compete against all of that? It is called stress. And this is the world we live in today. There are a few exceptions, however. There are a few companies and a few leaders who tend to rely vastly more on inspiration than manipulation. We know the names of some of the big ones, like Apple Computers or Harley-Davidson or Virgin. But you see this pattern, this use of inspiration in more than just companies. You see it in leaders like Martin Luther King or John F. Kennedy or Nelson Mandela. And all of them have the most loyal customers. And they have the most loyal employees. They're more profitable. They're more innovative, my definition. They can charge a premium if they want to. And most importantly, they can sustain all of these things for the long term. What's remarkable is that every single one of these companies, every single one of these leaders, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, every single one of them thinks, acts, and communicates the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was write it down. And I call it the golden circle. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. Why, how, what? This little idea is what distinguishes all of those leaders and organizations from everybody else. Let me define the terms quickly. Every single person on the planet, every single company on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP, whatever you want to call it. But very, very few people or organizations can clearly say why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make money. That's a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why did you get out of bed this morning? And why should anyone care? As a result, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But not the inspired leaders, not the inspired organizations. Every single one of them, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, thinks, acts, and communicates from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple a lot because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them would sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Yeah. This is how most organizations communicate. They tell you what they do, they tell you how they're different or how they're better, and they expect a behavior, usually a purchase. Here's our new car. It has a bigger engine, it's got tinted windows and heated seats. Choose our car. Here's our agency. We've got talent from all the best schools, and we have some of the biggest clients, and our clients are very successful. Choose us. It's the same. But here's how Apple actually does it. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. No manipulations, no trickery, no celebrity endorsements. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. It's not what you do that matters, it's why you do it. And what you do simply serves as the tangible proof of what you believe. This is the reason why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. We're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a digital video recorder from Apple. Because it's not what they do, it's why they do it. Look at any one of their competitors. It doesn't matter, pick one. Compaq, HP, Dell, Gateway, they're all good companies with equal and open access to the same agencies, the same consultants, the same talent, the same media. It's a zero-sum game. Apple does not have a lock on these things. Apple has some products that work and some that don't. They have some good management and they have some bad management. They're not special. The difference is they have defined themselves by why they exist and not by what they do. Their competitors have all defined themselves by what they do. We're computer companies. We make computers. And so that's all they'll ever do. A few years ago, Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. They're perfectly qualified to make these products. Nobody bought one. We couldn't imagine buying an MP3 player from a computer company. But we do it every day. It's not what you do, it's why you do it. And what you do serves as the tangible proof of what you believe. If you define yourself by what you do, that's all you'll ever do. Gateway had been making flat-screen monitors for years. And so they decided to come out with flat-screen televisions. And nobody bought one. Why would we buy a flat-screen TV from a computer company? It doesn't make sense. For this little idea to work, you have to have three things. One, you have to have clarity of why. If you don't know why you do what you do, how will anyone else? Two, you have to have discipline of how. You have to hold yourself and your people accountable to your own values and your own guiding principles. And you have to have consistency of what you do. We live in the tangible world. At the end of the day, a why is just a belief. That's all it is. Hows are the actions we take to realize that belief, and what's are the results of those actions? Our product, our marketing, our packaging, everything tangible. And if people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. If you don't say and do the things that prove why you do it, then no one will know what you believe. This is the concept behind authenticity. I'm tired of listening to talking heads talk about the importance of authenticity. Everybody's talking about authenticity. People prefer to vote for the authentic candidate. People prefer to buy from the authentic brand. If you would please, everybody here, when you go back to work tomorrow, could you please be a little more authentic in what you do? How do you do that? What do you tell your clients to be more authentic? It's an impossible thing to implement. What authenticity means is the things you say and the things you do, you actually believe. This is caveman stuff. The reason the human race is so successful is not because we're the strongest. It's not even because we're the smartest. It's because we're social animals. We have the ability to form communities, cultures. What's a culture? What's a community? It's a group of people with a common set of values and common set of beliefs, right? What's a company? It's a group of people with a common set of values and beliefs, right? Geneva, the culture of Geneva is different from the culture in Paris or New York. Not better or worse, different. And if you belong here, you like it here, you stay here. If you don't belong here, you feel uncomfortable and you move. Because we want to be surrounded by people who believe what we believe because it ensures our own survival. This is where trust comes from. Trust happens when people believe what you believe. Trust is not a checklist. Simply by doing everything correctly doesn't mean people will trust you. We have all experienced it, where somebody does everything the right way and you go, don't trust them. Or sometimes they get everything wrong and you go, I know, but I trust them. Trust is something deeper than simply what you do. It's what you believe. And like I said, it's caveman stuff. Our own personal survival hinges on our ability to be in communities, to be in groups of people who share our values and share our beliefs. This is what gives us the confidence to go off and explore, or take risk, or go hunting saber-toothed tigers, with the confidence that our community will look after our stuff and look after our children while we're gone. This is the reason it's important to be authentic, to say and do the things you actually believe, because people, we're engineered, we're biologically constructed to read other people. This is why the video conference will never replace the business trip. Technology is good to some degree, but at the end of the day, it's people. I love to tell companies who think that their technology is the thing that makes them special and the reason why their consumers will buy from them. I love to tell them. And I'm not one given to large, grandiose statements. However, 100% of customers are people. And 100% of employees are people. Although I did have one boss who's borderline. "99.99999% of employees are people." If you don't understand people, you don't understand business. I don't care how good your product is. It's not what you do that matters, it's why you do it. Not a single thing I'm telling you is my opinion. It is firmly grounded in the tenets of biology, not psychology, biology. If you take a look at a cross-section of the human brain, looking from the top down, you see that the human brain actually evolved into three major areas that corresponds precisely with this little idea. The outside area, the newest area of our brain, is called our neocortex. And our neocortex is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains. And our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making, and it has no capacity for language. So yes, when we communicate from the outside in, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like facts and figures and features and benefits. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we rationalize our behavior with the rational parts of our brain. This is where gut decisions come from. This is why we say, I trusted my gut. It just feels right. Why would we use the verb to feel to describe a decision? It's because the part of the brain that controls decision-making controls behavior. It just doesn't control language. And so it goes into degrees of confidence. If all you can give are the facts and the figures and the data to explain the reason you made a decision, the highest level of confidence you can give is, I think this is the right decision. That would be biologically accurate. But sometimes we say, I know all the facts and figures tell us to do that, but it just doesn't feel right. And I think we should do that instead. And it's a higher degree of confidence. The problem with those gut decisions is that they're not scalable because you're the only one that can make them. And when you ask the most successful people in the world, what was your secret to success? They always tell you the same thing. I trusted my gut. And when things went wrong, I knew I should have trusted my gut. The problem is it's not scalable. But the highest quality, the highest level of confidence for decision is when the why is clear. And we say of those decisions, I know this is the right decision. And when you know a decision is right, not only does it feel right, but you can also rationalize it. This is the reason why you can't ask somebody, why do you like our company and why do you like our products? They can't tell you. It's the reason you can't even answer the question, why do you love your husband or why do you love your wife? It's a difficult question. I don't know, you say. I don't know. And then you start making things up. You start rationalizing. You say, we have fun together, and she's loyal, and I trust her. It sounds like a golden retriever. And then you say things that don't even make sense. She completes me. I don't know what that means. How do you find somebody who completes you? And we do the same thing at work. We say of the people that we trust, who believe what we believe, they get it. They just get it. That client, an idiot, doesn't get it. We say it all the time. They just don't get it. What does that mean? How do you find people who get it before you do business with them? And how do you avoid the ones who don't? How many of you even, this is funny for this room, how many of you own a Macintosh computer or know somebody who loves their Macintosh computer? Right. Okay, rationally speaking, Macs are at least 25% more expensive than their PC counterparts, sometimes double the price. There's less software, there's fewer peripherals. I know because I switched to a Mac, they're absolutely slower. I watch that spinning beach ball a lot. And every program that is available for the Mac is also available for the PC. The only difference is the hotkeys. Rationally speaking, no one should ever buy a Mac. But they do. Again and again and again and again, and they don't even consider the competition. They don't even wait for the thing to die. I've only had my iMac for about a year, and the new 27-inch came out, and And I don't even consider the competition. But when you ask somebody who loves their Mac, why do you love your Mac? They can't tell you. Because the decision was made in the part of the brain that controls decision-making, but it doesn't control language. And so they rationalize. It's the simplicity. It's the user interface. It's the design. I'm a creative person, which is like saying she completes me. Don't know what that means. But they believe in the decision that they made, and they know they made the right decision because not only does it feel right, but they can also rationalize it. And that computer becomes something higher than just a product. If you ask somebody, why do you love your Mac? They do not tell you. Well, you see, I see myself as somebody who likes to challenge the status quo. And so it's very important for me to surround myself with the people and the products and the brands that prove to the outside world who I believe I am. That's what happened. It just happened in the part of the brain that controls decision-making, not language. And so they rationalize. This is also the reason why Mac people love opening their laptops in airports. So everyone can see what computer they're using. And you'll never see a Mac user put one of those leopard print stickers over the top of their computers. No. PCs, we don't care. People pop their PCs over in airports, we ignore them, and they don't care either. In fact, for the longest time, Dell had their logo facing the user, and so when you opened it, it was upside down. It's not what you do that matters, it's why you do it. And what you do simply serves as the tangible proof of what you believe. And because Apple as a company is crystal clear about what they believe, and everything they say and everything they do proves it, and has forever, we're all crystal clear on what they believe, and you're either drawn to it or you're not. Why does somebody who loves their Mac get so angry when you tell them they bought a substandard computer? It's not because you insulted their computer. It's because you insulted them. It's not what you do that matters. It's why you do it. The tricky thing about this is you can't even copy how somebody else did it. If you don't know your why, that's the first part, then how will anyone else? Southwest Airlines in the United States is a very important case study when it comes to this. Southwest has been around for about 35 or so years, and they're the single most profitable airline in history. They've turned a profit every single year they've been in business, including after September 11th and including during both oil crises. They did not have a first mover's advantage. When they started serving the local Texas market, there were already plenty of airlines already doing exactly the same thing. They did not invent low-cost flying. Pacific Southwest in California actually invented it. Southwest even copied their name. However, when they founded their airline about 35 years ago, only about 15% of the traveling population took a plane. And so they said, why should we start an airline to compete against everybody else when there's another 85% of people out there? And so what they said was, we compete against the car and the bus. What they meant was, we're the champion for the common man.